Really good things said, and it's going to be a fun day. I just want to take a moment to recognize some people in my department. Volleyball, Coach Lewis and Coach Caldwell are coaching the #1 team in the nation right now. We're 21-0, and today, and after this, we will play Edison in another conference match. Men's basketball, unfortunately, they've left for Danville, but Coach Springs wanted to thank everybody that came and also congratulated the 92-93 national championship team. Women's basketball is here in force. I won't make the ladies stand up, but they're back there. And they're looking forward to their season. Coach Giannis and Coach Perry. Now, ladies, remember, I didn't make you stand up, he did. And then my staff, the gentleman right there in the tie is leaving us, Nick Hunefeld, who is our SID. He is an incredible SID, and he has taken a position at Florida Gulf Coast University, and he's well deserved of that. And then there's Ann and Judy, who are my bosses, who make sure I don't do dumb things. I still do dumb things, but they correct me after I've done the dumb things. But they're great to work with. I couldn't ask for a better staff, and I'm very proud of them. They do a great job, all of them. And right now, I'd like to invite Dr. Robinson to come up, say a few words.
Thank you, JD. My name is Steve Robinson. I'm the interim president here at Owens Community College. And on behalf of our Board of Trustees and everybody here at the college, it's really my pleasure to welcome you here to Owens to our Express Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We do have two members of our board here. Our board chair, Dee Talmadge, is here. Dee, could you stand up for me? And also the vice chair of our board, Mary Beth Hammond, is here. Our board is very supportive of our Express Athletics, and athletics is a very important part of who we are at Owens as a comprehensive community college. It's wonderful to have our Hall of Fame athletes, our coaching staff, and our former college leadership to be back on campus here with us this morning. I also want to recognize Amy Giordano as the Vice President for Student Services, who's over athletics with JD. Amy? And I'm sure I won't be the last person to say this, but I want to tag on to what JD said about inviting you to stay for the match with Edison State. Our women's volleyball team is a very special group of women, and they're having a phenomenal year. #1 in the nation, 21-0. Until recently, these ladies had not even dropped a set. They went, I think, 48 consecutive sets without a loss. It's a special year for them, and not only are they exceptional athletes, they're excellent students, and I would invite you to stay here and go over to the shack and watch the game this morning. So we're excited to have all of you back on campus. Congratulations to all of the inductees, and it's great to have you back here. Thank you. JD.
I also want to recognize Senator Randy Gardner, and he's here, and he's going to be saying a few words later on, but Senator Gardner. Now to the fun stuff, inductions. First inductee, and how it goes is we have the plaques up here that we're going to hang in the Hall of Fame down in the entrance of the shack, and then I have for underneath, obviously the individuals that take one home. The team photo will be up there just like the 91-92 team. But our first inductee is Amy Amstutz-Zucker. What I know of Amy, she's very, very humble. So I'm going to read a lot of good stuff about you. Just enjoy it. Amy Amstutz-Zucker was the cornerstone of the Owens women's basketball program from 1997 to 1999. In her 2 years, the 604 became the program's single game, single season, and career scoring leader, all records that still stand. She scored 1,198 points over 73 career games. She had 759 points, she had 759 points and averaged 21.1 points per game as a sophomore. On February 10th, 1999, she scored 36 points in a win over Columbus State. As a sophomore, Amstad Zucker had the greatest single season in the program's history. She averaged 21.1 points, 10 rebounds, and nearly 2 steals per game, all of which led the team. She also finished second on the team in blocks and fourth in assists. Following the season, she was named the Ohio Community College Athletic Conference Player of the Year, the Region 12 Player of the Year, and a National Junior College Athletic Association First Team All-American. In 1998 and 99, Amy also led Owens to an OCCAC championship, which she helped the team clinch with 30 points in a 74-62 road win over Cincinnati State in the regular season finale. In the postseason, she scored 94 points over 4 Region 12 tournament games, including 21 and a 2-point win over Mott in the championship game, to lead Owens to its first ever Region 12 title in women's basketball. In the NJCAA Division II National Tournament, she averaged 22.3 points over 3 games, including 27 in her collegiate finale against Mesa, to help Owens finish 8th in the nation. In that sophomore campaign, Amy scored 19 points in the season opener and then averaged 24.5 points over the next 2 games. She added a new career high in scoring with 29 points in a 66-60 win over Cincinnati State on December 12th, as Owens started the season 8-0. On January 27th, she poured in 35 points to help Owens take down Lakeland 75-66 at home. 4 games later, she produced her single-game scoring record. Overall, Amy scored in double figures in 34 of 36 games as a sophomore. She had 22 games with at least 20 points and 4 games with at least 30. As a freshman, Amy had 12 points in her first collegiate game, which was a sign of things to come. She went on to score in double figures in 27 games that year, including a season-high 22 points in the OCCAC tournament matchup against Edison. She averaged 11.9 points and 8.1 rebounds per game and was named honorable mention All-OCCAC. In the postseason, she led Owens to a Region 12 runner-up finish and a 7th place finish in the NJCAA Division II National Tournament. It was the first NJCAA Division II National Tournament appearance in the program's history. Prior to her time at Owens, Amy starred at Pandora Gilboa, I'm totally butchering that, I'm sorry, where she surpassed 1,000 career points despite scoring just 18 total points as a freshman and playing off the bench as a sophomore. She was named Blanchard Valley Conference Player of the Year and 2nd Team All-Ohio, and she played in the Ohio-Indiana All-Star Game. After graduating from Owens, Amy attended Bluffton University, where she received a bachelor's degree in recreation management in 2001. She has been a stay-at-home mom for the past 6 years, and she was a pharmacy technician at Riley Creek Pharmacy in Pandora prior to that. For the past 17 years, Amy has been married to her high school sweetheart, Adam. They have 3 children, Avery, Nyla, and Jax. Amy and her family currently reside in Bluffton. So Amy, I'm just gonna say you had a great career here. It seems that you have an excellent life, and the 3 or 4 times that we've talked, you are, again, humble. You're obviously a very nice person. You've got a lot of accolades coming your way, I'm sure, in the future, but today, this is your accolade. So come on up.
Appreciate the opportunity that I got to play here. It was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it, and this is a huge honor, so thank you.
The next gentleman I think everybody in the room will probably know is former President Dan Brown. Former Owens Community College President Daniel H. Brown, who was a big supporter of Owen athletics, served in the college's top role from 1984 to 2001. Brown was a visionary who advanced the college's technology programs through partnerships and new construction. In addition, he enhanced the arts and sciences programs for our expanded mission as a comprehensive state community college. During his tenure, Brown helped the growth of Owens athletics immensely. When he started his tenure in 1984, the college only had men's basketball. In 1992-93, women's basketball was added. The following season saw the addition of baseball. In 1994-95, women's volleyball became a sport at the college. Then in 1998, the college added men's soccer and softball. Brown got his start in 1966 when the college was known as Penta Technical College. In 1969, he was appointed as academic dean and the chairman of the Lima Technical Center branch at Penta Technical Institute, which later became Rhodes State College. After taking over as president in 1984, Brown oversaw the following things: the establishment and growth of the Findlay campus on Davis Street, the initiation of partnerships with the City of Toledo, the University of Findlay, John Deere, General Motors, Ford, Caterpillar, and the investment in technology, including the expansion of transportation technologies, new construction of engineering technologies, law enforcement center, and the renovation of the Center for Development and Training. When did you have time to sleep? In 1994, Brown helped Owens officially become a state community college. Prior to that, it was known as Owens Technical College. With that growth, student center facilities such as the library, the ABCC, and math and science buildings, and the Student Health and Activity Center were constructed. During his tenure as president, enrollment grew by 80% to 17,000 students. And he, again, was a huge supporter of Owens athletics, and I'd like him to come up and take this and take it home.
Presidents are never without voice. It's really a pleasure to be here. It's hard not to be a little emotional when you hear what all I was involved in. But it was primarily because of a lot of good people. And it was a team effort all the way from the very beginning. And when I did first start, we had like 200 students and had school from 3 to 11 at night. We didn't get our first facility until something like 74. And that's when we became Owens Technical College. So we were Penta County Technical Institute, Penta Tech, Owens Technical College, Owens Community College, which is officially Owens State Community College. And so there were a lot of accomplishments through the years, and I had the pleasure of having a lot of good staff, especially Pam Kulala, who's here, someplace. Where you at, Pam? Right back here, her husband John. But she worked with me 17 years, started out as my secretary and advanced through human resources as she continued her education, and held a lot of key roles at Owens Community College, as did obviously many others. So it was a pleasure, and I'm proud of what we were able to accomplish through those years, and especially the athletic programs, the facilities that you see on this side of the campus. I can remember being visiting the Ohio Board of Regents, and the chancellor at that time was a lady, Dr. Elaine Harrison, and we were talking about buying the land that all these buildings are on. And she said, well, Ms. Brown, why would you want all this land? And I said, well, when we become a community college, we're going to need this land. And she said, does the University of Toledo know that? For some of you that have been around a while, University of Toledo used to have a community and technical college under the umbrella of the university, which doesn't exist anymore, primarily because of Owens. So, and you can see what happened with the campus. It's gone a long way, and it's really a pleasure. I want to also introduce my wife, Nancy. didn't miss many games, especially the years that we won the national championship. We were there at all the playoff games, and we followed the teams through the years. I also have two of my sons, Tony and Tom, here with children, two grandsons, Tony and Justin, and two grandchildren, Milo and Maddie, and Tony's significant other, Jess, excuse me, and we also have Maria, a great-granddaughter. So it's a pleasure to be back. I apologize that I didn't know some of the people here. It's been a long time. I've been retired 16 years, and I was with the college 35 years, and in education 40 years. And when I left, I had spent half of my life, at that time more than half of my life, at what became Owens Community College. The athletic facilities that we were able to add, I would be remiss if I didn't mention two of our former members of our administration and staff, Michael Ricard and Chuck Mann. Chuck Mann and I helped to develop the buildings that are on this side of the road. And I was involved in the building of every building except the first one at Owens Community College. The arts building was ready for bid when I left. But it's a pleasure, and we enjoyed the athletic programs, my wife and I. I used to try to give Jim Welling, our coach, advice. I was a frustrated wannabe coach. And I can remember getting after him, why do we miss so many foul shots? You're unguarded, you're only 15 feet away, but when it got down to when it counted, the teams made foul shots. And the national champions, obviously they were led by Jeff Massey, but he didn't do it by himself. It was because of a lot of good players with him and a lot of great teamwork, and they wouldn't give up. They played hard. Jim usually had a rotation of players in and out, and they would wear other teams down, and they did a fabulous job. And as I remember, we were in the finals for the national title the next year in '94, I believe. But we've had a lot of good teams. Jim, in fact, Coach Welling was one of our former players before he became coach way back when. And we also, in starting all the other athletic programs, it was a pleasure to do that. And I might add that we had a lot of good teams, but when the national championship was reached 2 years in a row, Owens was always the team that everybody wanted to beat. And it really set the stage for all the athletic programs. And it's great to see the success of what's happened here, the good basketball teams, baseball, softball, soccer, and especially the volleyball team and their success through the years. I could probably stand here all day and bore you, but I'll end it here. Thank you very much.
I need to apologize to Pam. She was supposed to introduce him, and I just skipped right over. But Pam, could you come up and say a few words about Dr. Brown?
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to have to think how to do this because it kind of seems backwards at the moment. But when I was asked to introduce Dan, thought, this is easy. I've known him forever. You know, this is going to be a piece of cake. And it wasn't, because we've experienced so much over the years. We argued a lot, mostly between the Baltimore Orioles and the Cleveland Indians, as who was the better team. Every year we had a bet as to which team was going to be better that year. I think I paid him more money than he paid me over the years. But as I started putting the thoughts together, all the good times and the bad times came back. all the successful ones and the heartbreaking ones. But he saw the athletic program grow through the Pentatech Jaguars, Trojans, the Owens Express. No matter what the team's name was, no matter what the sport, he cheered them on. He supported them, and he always called them student athletes, because to him, the student part was the most important, no matter how much he cared about athletics. The fact that these students were successful, that they learned while they were in class, that they finished each semester successfully, that they finished their degrees. And if it was in the cards that they went on to a baccalaureate program or to a master's program, which a number of our athletes did, because they were student athletes. They weren't just athletes. In the early years, athletics was over in Alumni Hall. And if you don't know Alumni Hall, it was a gorgeous building, looked like an airport hangar, with a cinder block attachment to it. It also housed the cafeteria, where you could get the Big Tech Burger, which was mostly grease and a bun. But Nancy and Dan traveled with the teams. When they went to state tournaments, when they went to regional tournaments, when they went to national tournaments, if at all possible, they were there. I don't even want to consider how many hours they logged in bleacher seats. So, to cut this a little bit short for you, I want to say that I appreciate my time working with Dan Brown for the success that he made at Owens Community College. When he left, this college was over 20,000 students. And if you walk around and you look at the entrance plaques, you'll see his name on almost every plaque on this building. And that's because he believed in Owens Community College, and he believed in its role in this community and what it could do for this community, for jobs, for growth. Thank you.
Third individual being inducted is Coach Welling. James Jim Welling served as the head men's basketball coach at Owens Community College from 1986 to 2006. During that time, he led the Express to a pair of National Junior Athletic Association Region 12 tournament champions, 8 Ohio Community College Athletic Conference championships, and 9 OCCAC state tournament championships. In his 20-year career, Welling compiled a 550 and 127 with a percentage 81.2 record. Aside from his NJCAA Division II national championships in 1991 and 1992, and 92 and 93, he also led Owens to a second place finish at the tournament in 1993-94, a third place finish in 1995-96, and a pair of fifth place finishes in 1998 and 1999, and 1999 and 2000. During his time, Welling graduated 86% of his student athletes and placed 76 student athletes into NCAA Division I schools. He won at least 20 games in 19 of his 20 seasons. That is hard to do, including 18 straight to finish his time at the college. Furthermore, he led the program to 8 30-win seasons, even harder to do. Welling coached 6 players who were named to the OCCAC Player of the Year, including 2-time winner Jeff Massey in 1991-92 and 92-93. Others included Roy Coleman, 89-90, Otis Chip Smith, 90-91, Cecil Crumby Jr., 93-94, Monty Latimer, 96-97, John Powell, 98-99. Of those players, Coleman, Massey, Crumby, and Powell were named NJCAA First-Team All-Americans. Smith was an NJCAA Second-Team All-American. Welling also coached Jerry Wells and Joe Shepard, who were named NJCAA Third-Team All-Americans in 1995 and 1999-2000, respectively. In addition to his players racking up individual accolades, Welling was named the NJCAA Division II Coach of the Year twice, the OCCAC Coach of the Year 8 times, and the Region 12 Coach of the Year 7 times. Prior to his time as head coach at Owens, Welling served 2 seasons at the college as a men's basketball assistant coach from 1984 to 86. He was also a member of the Owens Technical College Trojans men's basketball team under head coach Dick Honor from 1977 to 79. He received an associate's degree in recreation from, and he went on to earn a bachelor's degree from the University of Toledo in education with a specialization in physical education and health. Following his time at Owens, Welling was the head coach of the Central Catholic High School boys basketball team in Toledo from 2008 to 14. He led the team to its first city championship since 1966 and 2010, and its first regional championship as the OSHA Final Four appearance in the first OSHA Final Four appearance since 1947 when he did that in 2011. He also guided the team to Three Rivers Athletic Conference titles in 2012 and 14, and he won 5 sectional championships before finishing with a career record of 111 and 30, .79 rounded up, winning percentage. Away from basketball, Welling was named the Director of Institutional Advancements at Central Catholic, and he is currently the Director of Admissions here. Jim is the son of Russell and Jane Welling of Lucky, Ohio. He has been married to his lovely wife Susan for 29 years and has 2 children, Chad and Brooke. He graduated from Eastwood High School in 1977 after a standout athletic career in basketball, baseball, and golf. And I'm going to ask Jeffrey Reynolds to come up and introduce Mr. Welling.
Thank you, JD, for that wonderful introduction. It's my understanding that the only reason I'm here is because Coach Bobby Knight wasn't available to present Jim Welling, so I guess I was his second choice. But first of all, I'd like to congratulate the other Hall of Fame inductees this year. Amy, congratulations. Mr. Brown, for my unbiased opinion, the best president that Owens Community College has ever seen. 92-93 basketball team. It's good to see some familiar faces, and I'm not going to start throwing names out there. I'll let Jim do that because I'm afraid I'll forget somebody. But Jim was a player here from 77 to 79. I was just finishing up high school, and the summer of 1980, I went to a basketball meeting with my good friend Jim Couch at Jerry Carter's house in Sylvania to meet Jerry Carter, then the athletic director, and head coach Phil Sikovich, because Jim was going to try out for the basketball team. So through that meeting, I got to be involved with the basketball program. I became a manager, statistician, trainer, just kind of the, go-to guy for, hey, go get a bag of ice for the guys that rolled his ankle type of guy, so. But that's a lot of fun, so that's how I got involved in the program. And when I was here, Jim was off getting his bachelor's degree in Toledo. So, we're kind of 2 ships passing through the night. After I graduated, I got a job at a trucking company in Perrysburg, and then Jim came back as assistant basketball coach and eventually head basketball coach. And then Tom Sept, I'm not sure if Tom's here today, but he hired me back as a night computer operator. So at that point, that's when I really started getting to know Jim. And I was able to get back involved with the basketball team, running the clock and just coming to games and watching the teams play. During that time when I was here, I met my good friend Mike Rickard, which we all missed, and I'd be remiss not to mention him. But he's a good friend of mine, and Mike kind of hired me because he was in the athletic program at that point to come back and run the clock for games and stuff. So he did the scorebook, and I would run the clock. And there was times when maybe Mike wasn't here. We pulled Tom Sept out of the crowd to do the book, because attendance wasn't always the best, but it was just a community, a family type of deal. So I left here in 1996, and prior to that, for about 3 years, Jim and I played in the golf league together. And that's just really where our friendship took off. Just that 2 hours once a week, talk about anything and everything. And he talked about the upcoming next season and the recruits that he was bringing in, and had no chance of beating Edison State. And I heard it all, you know. But a couple things, if I were to describe Jim, he's a great family man. Talk about your basketball widow. His lovely wife Susan was just, quite a rock in his life. And his parents, Russell and Jane, they're here tonight. They've always been gracious to me. He talks about his children all the time. We're going to go see Chad and Megan this weekend, or just got off the phone with Brooke, you know. And great family man, great competitor. I mean, that's, his drive was to compete and to win. Didn't matter if it was basketball or a game of cards or on the golf course. He always wants to win, but he's gracious in winning, and always a caring coach to his players and his coaches and his assistants. He helped build this program. He was here when he started like a mentoring program where a staff member would be involved with one of his players one-on-one for some mentoring time. He helped get the charter bus thing going, so on road trips it was a more relaxing ride rather than piling in a couple of vans and being driven by the coaches. He had the ability to handle his different players differently, and that's what makes a great manager and a great leader. He never demanded perfection from his team, but he did demand effort, 100% effort, and it often led to perfection on the basketball court. So, we better get him up here, because if we don't, we may never get out of here. So it is my humble honor and privilege to introduce to you, for inclusion and induction into the Owens State Community College Athletic Hall of Fame, my brother, my friend, my partner, and my coach, Jim Wally.
That was pretty good. Makes my speech a lot shorter. First, I would like to thank all the Hall of Fame committee people for putting all this together. And this is a tremendous honor for selecting me and the other elite groups of individuals that have been selected into the Hall of Fame. Special thanks to JD and staff for putting this all together. I know how much work goes into ordering food and getting phone calls and who's coming and who isn't. And JD and your staff and Ann and the folks in the athletic department, thank you for all you guys do in putting these things together. JR, he wanted to be a coach, and after evaluating his resume, I really felt like, JR, you're best going to be suited for either water and towels, or possibly we could put you into a position of pushing a button for the scoreboard, or possibly even score a book. And he was right about some of the things that he said about our time together road trips and conversations and some of the things that we had to endure back in those days was not easy. So he's been a great friend, and I greatly appreciate you being here. Lots of thank yous. Parents, my brothers, my younger brother David, my wife Susan, and kids, and other family members. So they were the foundation of all this. Coming out of Lucky, Ohio, population 700, who knew that a small town person, and Amy probably can testify to this as well, but kids that come out of small communities and people that come out of those communities end up having success. JR's from North Baltimore, Randy's from Lucky, Mark's from Walbridge. I mean, the stories of small town people coming out and having great success is something that always stays in my heart, and those folks are all a big part of that. Friends that are here today, I want to thank you also for coming. You know, I have the honor of looking around the room and seeing some people that I haven't seen for a long time, and it really does mean a lot to me. I have two former teammates that are here today. I want to thank them for coming. They will both tell you, how talented they were. I mean, Randy shot 25 times a game, and Coach Hunter told me to pass the ball to Mark, and if I shot one more time, I was coming out. Mark Carr will tell you everything that's happened in my successes was because of him. I learned everything from Mark Carr, according to Mark Carr. But two really good teammates and two really good friends. Mark, Randy, please stand. Thank you. Also like to thank some former coaches that I had the privilege to work with. Paul Sabatic, Leroy King, Jack Trainer, Kurt Wildman Connor. Those were some of my assistant coaches. Kurt couldn't be here today, but probably one of the most bizarre individuals you've ever come across in your entire life. I don't know if these guys know, but we're getting ready for the national championship game. It's our 93 year. And we're in a motel in Delta, and my room's next to Kurt's. And all of a sudden I thought, man, is it getting cold here? It's like 25 degrees outside. We're in Midland, Michigan. I get up and I'm thinking, well, something's going on. So I walk out of my room, go knock on the door at Kurt's, and he's got the sliding door completely open to his motel room. And it's probably about to 30 degrees in his room. You can see your breath. I go, what are you doing? He was pacing back and forth. He goes, I'm just getting ready for the game, Coach. I'm just getting ready for the game. Had a 12-pack of Coca-Cola sitting on his bed with only 2 left, so he drank 10 of those. He's walking back and forth in his room with ice cubes laying on the carpet in his bare feet. I just shook my head. I said, you need to go to bed. I gotta break down film, Coach. I gotta break down film. I said, all right, well, you know what? You go ahead and break down film. I'll see you in the morning. And left you. But these guys will tell you, you talk about a great assistant coach, and I wish he was here. One of the things about the assistant coaches is, and the ones that I just mentioned, is loyalty. And you won't find any better loyalty with these guys. Unbelievable loyalty. I wouldn't be standing here today without these guys. There's absolutely no question in my mind that these guys were the backbone beyond my successes. Guys, stand up, please. Can we give them a round of applause? I know they're not the best looking group, but Leroy, should I tell them the story about the thing when I was looking down at the bench and I'm going, oh my gosh, you got a spot. Inside joke. Also like to thank all the administrators, board members, past and present. I really, really can't talk to you about Mr. Brown and what he's done for us. I think he knows how much he means to all of us and what he's done for us. And I could never thank him enough for everything that he did for us. I remember the first, I'm 24 years old. I don't have a clue of what I'm doing in the game of basketball. And I get a call from Mike. He says, hey, DJ Cameron just flipped out. We're going to get rid of him. And Jamie's going to move up to the head coach. And we want you to come over here and be his assistant. That's 1984. And I thought, oh boy. All right, I'll be over. So I sat down and talked to him and met Jamie and did that for 2 years. And Jamie ran into some personal things that he had to deal with. And I'll never, ever forget this day. I can't tell you what the date was or the time, but I'll never forget the day. I get a call from Phil Eaton. And Phil, he's over in the C Center, and I'm thinking, oh, geez, what did I do now? Or who do I piss off at this point in time? And I thought, well, this can't be good. So I go over to the C Center, and I walk into his office, and he says, hey, we want, Dan and I and some other staff members, we'd like you to take over as head men's basketball coach. And I almost fell off my chair. I'm 26. And I thought, you got it. We can do this. And I'll never forget that day. Phil, would you please stand? I mean, it really means a lot that he's here and his wife Jane is here. Those guys gave me a chance to do something that I had passion for. I always wanted to be a basketball coach. My high school counselor didn't think that. In 1977, I walked into the counseling office and said, hey, sir, I don't want to mention any names, but I said, hey, sir, I really want to go to college. And he looks at me and he says, Jim, I think you should go work with your dad. And I looked at him like kind of funny, and I thought, all right. He goes, you're not really college material. And I thought, okay. So I walked out the door, and as I'm walking out the door, I'm thinking to myself, I can't pound a straight nail. How am I ever going to be a carpenter if I can't pound a straight nail? I used to get cussed out all the time about, you're not sanding the edges right, or you're not doing this right on the wood. So, so for me it was pretty easy. I either had to give college a try or it wasn't going to work out for me. Because I knew there was no way that I was ever going to be a carpenter, so I ended up going here to Owens. And this is the first time I met Dick Honor. Cop Marquette, Jerry Carter, Dave Petrick. He was my counselor when I walked into, I don't even know where it was like the barracks or whatever, and he was my very first exposure to Owens in the application. I went to Alumni Hall. Mr. Hetrick had said, oh, they're having basketball tryouts and you ought to go. Here's the coach's number. So he gave me Coach Hodder's phone number. I'm from Eastwood. I'm not from, Detroit or Cleveland or downtown Toledo. I'm from Eastwood. Yeah. So I walk in up the sidewalk to Alumni Hall, and there's like, I don't know how many kids. There's probably 40, 50 players, all accumulated. And Coach Honor was the first one there to greet me. Learned a lot from Coach Honor, and his lovely wife, Vicki, is here with us today, and have a lot of deep, fond memories for that man. Dan will remember the night where Mark and I were playing, and Dick's saying, pass the ball to Mark, pass the ball to Mark. Dick's getting all frustrated. All of a sudden, he turns around and he kicks a chair. It's about the third row into the bleachers. Yeah. That was my coach. And I had him for 2 years. Mark had him for 2 years. I remember the time that we were in Lorraine Community College. We're down by 30 at half. Coach is all upset at us. We're getting throttled. I think they were the #1 team in the country at that time. And I walk into the locker room, and our heads are down. And Coach Honor had just a small little temper. He turns around and smashes the chalkboard with the palm of his hand and says a few other tangibles. Finishes up his halftime speech. We go back out. He pulls me aside. I'm the last one to go out of the locker room. And he says, hey, Jimmy, can you drive the van home? He had broke his hand in about 5 places. We play the second half, we lose by 40. And guess who drove the van home? Coach was a good man. Vicki, please stand up, please. Another special thank you that I'd like to give to people here is probably the most inspirational person that I really felt like I could get into coaching. Coach Nye and his lovely wife Sharon are here with us today. He kind of tailored me as being the best defensive player on the team. This is 1977. Randy will remember this story. You knew what's coming. We're doing a drill. It's called driving line drill, and it starts at the other end of the floor, and it's one-on-one coverage with me guarding Randy in the open floor of about 60, 70 feet of open space. And Randy decides to go by me on not the first time, and then bottom line is, he kept going by me and going in for a layup, and all of a sudden, Coach went off. Drew the clipboard, papers flying all over the place. You're supposed to be our best defensive player. Why can't you stop this guy? I don't know, he only scored 3,000 points in his high school career. Somebody else ought to give it a try. And I'm sure Reed remembers that, and it's a lot better story, I think, when he tells it. But I will say that Coach Nye was unbelievably instrumental in me moving forward in my coaching career. I remember him being just a class person with great integrity and great honesty. And that's what I appreciated him so much. Please stand. There are other thank yous too, staff members like Doug Watt. He was a statistician that was here for a long time. Another guy, and I don't know how many games that this guy was involved with the Owens program, but Glenn Forbush is here today. Glenn, please stand up. He probably managed at least over 500 games. I mean, I know he was always here when I was here. Another person I would be remiss if I didn't mention him is Tim Taylor. Tim Taylor was our announcer over in Alumni Hall, and he loved this team. I mean, he was so good on the microphone, and he would do some things to make the guys feel good about his enthusiasm for how he announced. And I wish Timmy was here today. Another guy that's also here today is George Pauloff. George probably has, I'm going to guess, between 10 to 15,000 photographs of things that we had over the course of the years that he was doing pictures for the Owens Express. George, you want to stand up? Thank you so much. Lastly, all the players. Too many to mention. I could stay here all day and tell you individual stories. When you coach over 200 kids in 20 years, you've got stories. Coach Lannis, and he's been in it a long time. Sonny Lewis has been in it a long time. We all have stories about our kids. Some of them you really want to hear, and some of them you really don't. Okay? I mean, I can go right through this group of guys right here and tell you a story about every single one of them. Especially the Crumby family. Then you talk about shaky pudding. You can't have this kind of success without having great players. And I was really lucky. You know, I was really, really fortunate. My second year as head coach, I thought, you know, and JR kind of mentioned it a little bit, but I thought I could coach talent within a, I don't know, 15, 20 mile radius of this place and get the best out of these guys to be successful night in, night out. And after my second year and got my head kicked in, and I think we were 11 and 17, I realized that I better figure out how to recruit. So I took a pencil and I drew a circle of a 50-mile radius and said, you know what? There's where we got to go after guys. I think that was 1988. We were lucky enough to get somebody like Chip and Roy Coleman and a couple others. Chip was local and Roy was from Akron, but it started to expand. It went from 50-mile radius now to about a 300-mile radius. And the more the program had success, the more it kept expanding. Jack, Leroy, other coaches, we were on the road all the time trying to get the best possible fit that we could find for this institution. And I think we did a pretty darn good job. We were very, very lucky to have some of the kind of kids that we had represent this school. And I always felt that our guys represented this place in a first-class fashion. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what you want for your institution. That was my motivational speech for the day. All right, in closing, I really felt like I needed to give something back. I had my two National Player of the Year, or Coach of the Year plaques, 1992 and 1993, and also the 1992 and 1993 game balls for both years. I would like to donate those back to the school. JD, if you could come up, please. Got to give them to JD. Gardner gets his hands on it, he'll be down there shooting fast. They don't make them like that. No. I really, this represents, I think, Owens basketball, and the guys who were really a big part of that run. You know, not only were we 72-3 and had a great run at things, we were 106-6 in 3 years. But I want people to remember the players and the people that built this thing over the last, 30-some years. And someone like Dan being here and Phil being here and the coaches that were all part of it. And I can tell you some Paul Savatic stories that are just amazing of what this man did in sacrifice. So this is what this represents, is me giving something back to Owens, that we can have this for that legacy for a very, very long time. Thank you.
And the final award. The final inductee is the 1992-93 Men's Basketball National Championship. The 1992-93 Owens men's basketball team won the program's second consecutive National Junior College Athletic Association Division II national title. In doing so, they became the first team in the tournament's history to win back-to-back titles. Owens finished 35-1 overall, 14-0 in the OCC-AC. In postseason play, the Express won the OCC-AC tournament title with a hard-fought 86-82 win over Cincinnati State in the finals. In the Region 12 tournament, the offense averaged nearly 107 points over 3 contests and routed Muskegon 118-86 in the championship game. In the NJCA Division II National Tournament, the offense didn't slow down. The Express opened with a 103-90 win over Joliet in the quarterfinals, a 97-69 win over Clinton in the semifinals, set up a 109-85 win over Northeast Christian College in the championship game. In the title game, Owens broke the game open with an 18-5 run to close out the first half and got 21 second half points from freshman Fazell Crumpy Jr. to prevent any threat of a comeback. Defensively, Owens forced 30 turnovers. The sophomore class, led by Jeff Massey, finished with a 17-0 record in postseason play over 2 seasons. Massey, a guard who went on to play for NCAA Division I Xavier University, averaged a team-high 24.9 points in his final year with the Express, while Crumpy, who scored a game-high 37 points on 14 for 15 shooting in the national title game, checked in at 18.3 points and a team-high 6.7 rebounds per game. Corey Allison, who scored 24 points in the national title game, was the 3rd player to average double figures at 13.4 points per game, while sophomore point guard Jason Wade averaged 8 points and over 6 assists. Massey was named the NJCA Division II National Tournament MVP for the 2nd consecutive season, while Allison and Crumpy each also made the all-tournament team. In the conference, Massey, Wade, and Crumpy were all named first-team All-OCC-AC, while Allison and Shane Betchel each earned honorable mention All-OCC-AC recognition. Massey was also named the OCC Player of the Year, and head coach Jim Welling was named OCC-AC Region 12 and NJCA Division II Coach of the Year. Coach Welling, I'd ask that you come up and take this and have your team come up and join you.
I got a long list, y'all. No, but
This is gonna take a while.
since they nominated me, the captain should have been speaking, but they know I don't mind speaking. Mr. Brown, thank you. Me coming back to school, Coach Welling recruited me right out of high school, but I had to do a little maturing. So a couple of years later, I come back a little more mature, a little growner. And he gave me an opportunity to do some things that I just didn't think. Like he said, shaky pudding. You know, we come from a place where my family was about love. So when I came here, all these guys from a different walk of life, you know, I was just telling my family, like Carrie, I had car trouble, pick me up every day to get to school. If not for that, I might not have been able to make it to school. Brad and Chief, and I can go on and on and on. We all come from different forms of life, but was put together, and he found a way to change the way that they play the game today. One quick story, then I'll let somebody else say something. We were at the national title, and the committee all sitting up here. The room is packed. They're introducing all the teams and everybody, and when they got to us last, the Owens Technical College, we stood up, and the room bigger than this was packed. Everybody laughed at us. Y'all remember that? See, can everybody just laugh a little bit now? See, that's what we heard, but doubled it. And we standing up because we were so little. These guys were all 6'8", 6'9", 6'6", and they looked at us and laughed. We're the #1 team in the nation. We're the team that you should be worried about, but we felt disrespected. And that moment put us in a position, mind-wise, to do what we're standing here today to do. It was just a beautiful thing for us. And I want to thank y'all, man. It was a fun ride, and we got relationships now that we'll never forget.
Actually, yeah, Mr. Mason, too.
There's several of the guys that couldn't make it today, but they did reach out, and I did talk to Jeff and a couple of the other guys that couldn't make it here, but it's a pretty special group, and boy, there's a lot of fun stories that go along with this particular group, and that's the great thing about these championship teams, is that the memories and the friendships, to me, are priceless. So, congratulations to these guys, and thanks again for the committee having us into the Hall of Fame. Thanks.
I would ask if Senator Randy Gardner would like to come up and say a few words.
Okay, I know some of you are wondering, wow, now we got the senator, this is going to be a long morning. Not the case. I really have no speech, which usually elicits wild applause. Now, Jennifer, you're not supposed to clap. You know, Welling was a great floor leader, but I see the floor pretty well too. The government relations chief clapped on that. Dr. Robinson, I don't know. I'm just going to say a couple things. Congratulations to everybody, the teams, the players, the coach, the president. Dan Brown started a year as president before I started my journey as state legislator, and the Dan Brown era of Owens Community College was just phenomenal. It was perfect for me in my career because I learned about jobs and economic development and stimulating the economy and the community because Dan Brown's led Owens. That's what it was about. And when you thought about trying to help Northwest Ohio, it's the first thing you thought of. What can Owens Community College do for our community? So congratulations, Dan, and we had a great relationship, and we just wouldn't be the same today without Dan Brown's leadership. Dan pretty well, but I know Jim Welling really well. We lived just across the alley from each other in Lucky, Ohio. He was in my wedding. He was my teammate in high school basketball. My Webster team beat his Lucky Elementary team 50-11 in 5th grade. True, but the championship game was 29-27. You almost got us. But I'm not going to tell a lot of stories. I want you to know, first of all, this is Owens red and Eastwood red. This is not Central Catholic red. There's a little story behind that. I applaud Jim Welling's great career as a college basketball coach, but he was just a little bit too successful as a Central Catholic coach because I'm a St. John's dad. But we survived that. The only thing I'll say about Jim is he's mentioned about the assists and my points, and he did have a lot of assists, and I did have a lot of points. What he fails to realize, though, is the person who throws the ball to the other person doesn't get an assist unless the person who catches the ball and shoots the ball scores. So, you realize that, Coach?
I got it.
Now, the last assist, and I'll remember this one more than anyone. The last assist he passed to me was after he was honored for his 500th win here at Owens, and I was in a shirt and tie. And I was so nervous, went out on the floor, and he passed the ball, and I actually made it. Didn't go to the three-pointer, got the 15-footer. That was the last assist. But Jim Welling has assisted a lot of people in his life. And evidence of this place today. A lot of people, he will say, have assisted him, but he's done a lot for a lot of people. And I'm not going to go over the statistics and the records, but he's affected a lot of people, and life is personal for him, and you can tell that, and that's what makes him a great leader. And did some remarkable academic things here at Owens, despite the fact that his academic career at Eastwood was okay. But he surprised a lot of people with how he grew into a phenomenal leadership role. The final thing I'll say, and I don't know if there'll be any compensation for this or not, Welling, but how many of you know who John Calipari is, University of Kentucky? Some of you know, most all of you know. He's heralded with having a winning record in college basketball of 773. Pretty impressive, huh? Well, John Calipari has nothing on Jim Welling. Jim Welling's record of 550 and 127 far surpasses that. Now, Calipari gets between $8 and $10 million a year to coach. So I don't know what the budget is or not, but you would think there should be a little bit coming back to Welling with a winning record that exceeds Calipari. But it's not about that. It's not about the wins. It's about the impact you have on people in your lives. And from someone who I first met in 5th grade, I think, and basically we've been together all these years, the class of 77. It's an honor. He actually texted me earlier in the week and said, "Are you coming?" And my response back is, "Are you kidding?" There's a lot of places I could be today, but there's no other place I'd rather be than being with my longtime friend and coach, Jim Welling. God bless you.
Wow, when you're quoting statistics from the 5th grade, that goes back. I'm sure you're still mad, Jim. Closing remarks. I was remiss at the beginning of the remarks, but I need to thank my lovely wife, Sarah, our 2 boys who are now at work for us here at Owens. It's a family affair. But I just want to thank everyone for coming out. This, to me, is one of the best days that we have at Owens as far as Owens Express Athletics, because these gentlemen and ladies have built the foundation of what we are today. And Coach Welling said it very well. We always have to remember the history, because that's what built us up to where we are today. We have a #1 team in volleyball, etc. And that comes from years and years and years. It doesn't just happen overnight. And you go back, to 1966 and the basketball team, and hearing those stories, well, that set the stage for what we have today. And President Brown, the facilities here are incredible. In Fort Scott, I was in Arnold Arena, and I'm using the word arena really loosely here. 6 electrical boxes, no air conditioning. It's when I came here, and Coach Parrish was back there, he took me on the tour, and he said, "Do you have any questions?" And I'm like, "No." And I'm just looking, he said, "Have any questions at all?" I'm like, "Nope, not one." So congratulations on that. But in just parting, what we would like to do now is we have our backdrop back there. Absolutely want to get pictures taken. What we're going to do with the plaques, that we'll take those down. Again, we'll hang them up on the screws that are there, thanks to facilities. And then we'll go watch some volleyball. You're all invited, to do that. I think we're going to get recognition for you guys in between one of the 3 sets, because their matches can go pretty quick. But they do have to win 3 sets. So all I can say is that I'm proud to be the athletic director here. The people that came before me, especially Michael Ricard, is still looming over us. And he put a really big thumbprint on this. And I never knew him personally, but from all the stories, that he was just an incredible man who had a big heart and would help anybody in the world that he could. And I think that, that's something that I try to do and emulate every day. But again, thank you all for coming. I appreciate the board members, Dr. Robinson, Amy, Jennifer, Megan back there as well. It's a really fun day, and it's a great day, and I think it's something that people take hold of and they remember for the rest of their life. So I thank you for coming. Owens Community College thanks you for coming, and have a good day.